I recently had a conversation with a client. She came to coaching convinced that she was at a crossroads, that she had a difficult decision to make. What became apparent very early on in the conversation was that the decision had already been made. Not only had the decision been made, but the decision was actually already in motion in her life. So she was not grappling with uncertainty. What my beautiful client was sitting with was grief. Now, along her journey, she had made the decision to step into healthier boundaries. And as she brought to life these healthier boundaries, the nature of her relationships shifted. She was no longer available for the unhealthy boundaries that served others, and as a consequence, she was no longer carrying the load that people had traditionally expected her to carry. And she was no longer bearing the burden of discomfort. She was transferring discomfort back to the people it belonged to. And it's an odd experience that she had to grieve this version of herself, this version of herself that had known how to keep the peace. And one of the things that I became aware of as she was speaking was that inasmuch as boundaries require us to have courage and vulnerability and a willingness to sit with discomfort, every new boundary also brings a new grief. And not all the griefs are as pronounced as the one that my client clearly was experiencing. But a shift in identity means that there are versions of us that no longer exist. One of the things that I'm very aware of when we shift into bolder, braver boundaries is that we start to step into a relationship with ourselves where there is more self-respect and there is more self-assurance. And this means that we interact with the world in a very, very different way. It is an adjustment for every single person around us, including ourselves. And so what my client was experiencing was a need to really appreciate the magnitude of the adjustment, to see how big a reconfiguration it was for everyone. That as she was learning to take new steps, everyone around her was learning to take new steps, and things were just really unsettled for everyone involved. And it was to make space for this reorientation process and period for everyone, to have mercy, to have grace, to have compassion for everyone involved. And so I sit here with the realization that boundaries invite grief. It's not to be flippant about the past versions of ourselves, but rather to sit with compassion, to know that the past versions of ourselves brought us here. And it's done the work we needed it to do. It's brought us the wisdom and the insight that we've needed. And it's brought us the opportunity for the growth that we want to step into. And if we remain true to our boundaries, the benefit is that everyone collectively around us step into a version of themselves that can hold whatever discomfort they have to, so that they too can grow.